We bought the building in November, and so we renovated it completely. It actually used to be a funeral home. They would embalm.
The irony of that.
I know, right?
The opposite. Yeah, the opposite.
Yeah, so they were working with dead bodies, and now we're trying to work with, helping people feel alive again. Just trying to figure out my next steps, and I didn't really want to work for anybody else because it's hard to put my knowledge and my passion of holistic wellness into the box of traditional healthcare, because traditional healthcare doesn't really care if you get well. They don't make money if you're healthy. So it's really hard to convince people and to show people, hey, there's another way that you can take care of your body preventatively when you're having to fit into the mold that they have created for the people who work there.
There's a lot of people pushing these things, but they're not discussing these things first.
Because people want the easy way. Now we're just transitioning from one Band-Aid to another. The medical Band-Aid is, here, take this pill to lower your cholesterol, okay? And then the biohacking Band-Aid, sit on this mat and you'll feel great again. But it's not just one thing that's gonna make you feel good. Like, you have to want to change you and your belief about what health actually is.
On today's show, we have Dr. Hannah Parcell from Swell Health and Wellness in Galveston. We're talking all about biohacking. And I don't know about you, Sean, but I really enjoyed how the bulk of the conversation was really around fundamentals of health before you even start biohacking. And because I'm not sure about you, but when I think biohack, I hate to say it, and I told Hannah this as well, I almost have like a negative connotation with it because of all the stuff that we hear about in social media with it. I feel like they bypass things that need to be said just to talk about like these fancy protocols.
Yeah, it almost sounds so gimmicky.
Right.
It's just like, man, but it sounds like there is quite a bit of health benefits to biohacking. And, she was kind of like, helping us weed past the BS, like we were saying in the episode, and finding out more. And I know we've even tried a little bit of biohacking with things like Restore and stuff like that, doing things with them. And it's huge. It was definitely a great episode. Great look into that world.
Yeah, for sure. So guys, as you're listening to this episode, be sure that you listen to her definition of what biohacking is. And she uses the word support our actual biology, which I really loved. And there was another point that I want to mention, which is she talked about none of this is beneficial. If you feel like having to get it done is stressing you out, right? So she talks specifically about the PEMF mat. She talks about the contrast therapy as well, which is a service they do at Swell. And then she also talked about the ozone therapy that they do at Swell. So if you're interested in any of those, make sure you listen in. But again, she talked about how if getting them done is stressing you out, you're actually not doing yourself any favor. So I really respect her bringing that up. So guys, listen to this episode. If you want want to try biohacking or interested in any way, make sure you take these fundamentals and get them done that Dr. Parcell talks about, and then hit them up. Check out Swell down in Galveston.
One thing I did want to say that really got me was the cell phone part.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was like, I do none of these things.
Yeah. So guys, listen, that comes at the very end, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So make sure you listen all the way through and pick up these little cell phone hacks that Sean's talking about.
All right. Hannah Parcell.
So let's just get right to it. Tell me, in your own words, what do you define biohacking as? And I want to start with that because for me, at least, and just so you know too, in my opinion, it can mean so many different things. There's even like a little bit of a negative, to be honest with you, when I hear it, because I just see all this different stuff online. I'm sure it's social media and the internet, but when I hear it, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this person going to be talking about today? But to you, what is biohacking?
So biohacking is a very broad term, but also can be really simple. It's really just health optimization. So there are biohacking, in my opinion, are little changes that you can make in your lifestyle that hack your biology or help to support your biology to bring about good health changes. So it can be as broad and simple as that.
Yeah, I really like the word support. So pretty much what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a position, you're going out of your way a little bit maybe, but to put yourself in a position to support your biology and be as efficient as possible in that moment in time.
Right. We don't always need all the tools and the gimmicks and everything, right? There are little things that we can do that support our own biology. Knowing a little bit about the biology and a little bit about technology and how we can support ourselves in our daily life can really help to bridge that gap.
So you're not trying to change biology.
Right.
You're supporting what's already there.
Right. The body is in tune to heal itself. That's what the body was designed to do. The body has, white blood cells that help to fight infection. It has certain cell barriers that help to prevent infection. And so really what we're doing is with the biohacking is that you're just supporting your body's natural process in order for it to do what it needs to do. Because there are things in our everyday life that prevent our bodies from being able to do what they need to do. And so we're kind of really just going back to the basics with biohacking.
Yeah, I love that. So you're just kind of manipulating your way through this crazy world that we live in now, where we're constantly surrounded by bad food, bad environment, bad social environments, right? And things like that. And by biohacking, you're getting rid of all that stuff and getting back in alignment with where you should be anyways.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. Did you come up with that yourself? How did you get started with this and kind of come to these conclusions?
So I've been following the biohacking movement for quite a few years. It was coined probably 9 or 10 years ago. Dave Asprey is quoted as being like the father of biohacking. So I've kind of been following that movement for quite a long time. I've always been in the holistic wellness space. I've never been one that takes medications. I've always experienced, negative side effects from medications, so I knew that there had to be another way. And I always was taught to nourish my body with, natural herbs, natural foods. And I just have seen, me personally, the effects of doing that. Like you can really treat a lot of conditions the natural way. And so that's what's really started me down that whole rabbit hole of the term biohacking. But really, it's just knowing the biology of your body and how to support it.
And were you raised in a household where you were doing a lot of more natural type of remedies and stuff like that? Or is it something that you got as you got older?
It's sort of yes, sort of no. I was actually raised in California. And so a lot of people in California are a little bit more health conscious, I would say. We never had anything with like red food dye. I mean, we never had soda. We never had sugary things in the house. But of course, we had frozen meals and things that our parents just didn't know yet were filled with things that maybe we shouldn't be eating, And so I would say maybe like 50-50. And then as I grew up and I went to college for exercise physiology and nutrition.
Okay.
And so I learned a ton in my undergrad, and then I got my doctorate in physical therapy. And so I really have a more holistic approach to the body because of my education, just it being very conservative and more integrative. And so as I've grown up into my, educational years, I've definitely shifted more into holistic wellness.
Yeah, I love that your background in education is in that space, though, because I feel like, and this is probably why when I first hear the term, there's a little bit of negativity. I feel like a lot of people in this space don't have that type of background in education. They just started following Dave Asprey maybe a few years ago. Yeah. They did one thing that worked for themselves, and now they're on social media claiming to be like this expert.
Right. Well, there's a lot of money in wellness. There's a lot of money in social marketing. And so anyone can get an Instagram and sell stuff, and that's kind of how it becomes difficult to traverse this space and people who maybe don't understand it as well, because everyone's trying to sell something, on Instagram. So it can be kind of difficult to find your way to the people who really know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it can be for sure.
Kind of like weeding through the BS pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, the same thing happens in exercise.
Of course.
Right? I mean, I talk to people sometimes that they think exercise is like, what's the newest, greatest, latest thing that's going to get me results? Nothing, bro.
It's all been figured out.
That's right. Yes, we have figured this stuff out. The science has told us what works, what doesn't work. It's actually quite simple. Yeah. It is not as complicated as you might think. Maybe same situation with you. Definitely interested in learning more. But before you started Swell, were you a full-time physical therapist, or how did that transition go?
Yeah, so I've been a full-time PT for going on almost 9 years. And I was working at various hospitals. Right before I started Swell, I actually opened up some physical therapy clinics in the Central Texas area. And so I was kind of getting a taste for management and how to open up new clinics and sprout new things. And when I was done with that venture, I came back down to the coast of Texas and I was trying to figure out my next steps. And I didn't really want to work for anybody else because it's hard to put my knowledge and my passion of holistic wellness into the box of traditional healthcare, because traditional healthcare doesn't really care if you get well. They don't make money if you're healthy. So it's really hard to convince people and to show people, hey, there's another way that you can take care of your body preventatively when you're having to fit into the mold that they have created for the people who work there. So I knew that I wanted to open up my own facility at some point. So I was really working part-time. I was doing a few different things. I was making good contacts, and the building that we turned around for Swell kind of just fell into our laps. So it was actually a family friend of ours that we didn't know knew my grandfather. So it was really meant to be. And so then we started putting all of our time and energy into creating Swell.
Wow. And how long ago was this?
We bought the building in November, and so we renovated it completely. It actually used to be a funeral home. They would embalm.
The irony of that.
I know, right?
The opposite. Yeah, the opposite.
Yeah. So they were working with dead bodies, and now we're trying to work with, helping people feel alive again. So yeah, we were working on the renovation of that and creating some protocols and figuring out, okay, how much biohacking can we introduce at first? Because if it were me, I'd go crazy. I love all the biohacking stuff, but there are some steps you need to do before you just jump into all the cool shit, right? Like all the hyperbaric oxygen and the PMF and like all those things that we're going to get into later. There are some fundamentals that people need to learn before just jumping into it. And so that's why we wanted to create a functional nutrition, functional medicine side of our practice as well, so that we can help teach people how to tackle those fundamentals first.
Yeah, well, maybe if you don't mind, maybe we can spend a little bit of time on that, because if someone hears the word biohacking, and myself included, I often think of, these crazy little weird things. And we can also discuss, like, if we think that biohacking is a fad. I'd like to ask you that question as well. But, what are the fundamentals that people should have in place before they even consider biohacking?
Right. That's a great question, because if we just throw all these things at our bodies that it can't absorb, that it can't tolerate, you're not going to see the change that you want to see. Kind of like if your gut is really overwhelmed with bad bacteria and you're just trying to eat all the good food you can without really figuring out what's going on, nothing's getting absorbed. And that's kind of the same with biohacking. Like if you go in and you try to go ham on the PMF mat, on the red light, on the compression, on the ozone, like there's only so much your body can handle if its toxic bucket is already full. So we have to figure out a way to kind of normalize your body first. And the fundamentals with that are getting enough sleep. What's the quality of your sleep? Are you having good quality air in the room that you sleep in? It should be cool where you sleep. Getting enough sunshine, because if you don't get enough sunshine, you're not synthesizing your vitamin D. Even if you take a vitamin D supplement, you can't synthesize your vitamin D if you're not going out and getting sunlight. Being in community with other people. Another huge one is being able to relate to other people and what that does to your brain. Having good food. So it's not just dieting. We don't want you to come to Swell or to any other holistic wellness space with the idea of, I want to get well because I need to fit in this dress for my next event. Or I want to get well because it's almost summer and I have to wear my bikini. Like, you have to want to change your lifestyle to be healthy, to feel better, to feel like you can pick your kids up without hurting, to feel like you can go to Disneyland and not feel like you're about to absolutely die afterwards. Like you want to be able to do the things that you want to do in life, travel, whatever it is that you want to do. You want to feel alive enough to be able to do that and not suffer the consequences,
Yeah, this is the missing link. This, people not having this conversation is why people think it's probably a fad and that there is some negative connotation and stuff like that, right? Because in my opinion, a lot of people that are pushing some of these, I'd like to hear more about the specific techniques that you mentioned. I can't even remember the names of them off the top of my head, but there's a lot of people pushing these things, but they're not discussing these things first.
Yeah.
Why?
Because people want the easy way. Now we're just transitioning from one Band-Aid to another. The medical Band-Aid is, here, take this pill to lower your cholesterol. Okay. And then the biohacking Band-Aid, sit on this mat and you'll feel great again. But it's not just one thing that's going to make you feel good. Like, you have to want to change you and your belief about what health actually is, or else nothing's ever going to feel better, you know?
Yeah. Did you go through a phase where you had to, maybe after you graduated with your doctorate in physical therapy and things like that, was there a time where you had to yourself go through that self-reflection time of getting all these things under control?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I played college sports. I've had multiple injuries. I tore my ACL when I was actually right when I graduated PT school. And so I had a lot of injuries that I had to think, okay, if I'm not going to do this, of course I was looking at it through the lens of exercise, because that's like my profession as a physical therapist, you know? But then I was noticing these other things, like I'm doing the right things. I'm exercising. I thought I was eating well. You know, I was eating mostly vegan at that time, or vegetarian. I thought I was doing all the right things. You know, I was running a lot. But I wasn't getting enough sleep. I wasn't hydrating enough. I wasn't eating enough protein. So there were all these little things that were I wasn't making time for me and my mental health, you know? So there was all these little things that kind of stacked the deck against you. And then you really just, even if you feel like you're doing all the right things, you still don't feel great, you know? And so that's when it kind of started coming to realization with me. And at that time I was working at the Veterans Hospital, and there were a lot of people who have a lot of mental health issues, who've been through trauma, who have traumatic injuries. And I was noticing a lot of really good improvements with my patients when I was just talking to them and like asking them, what do you even want to see out of your life? And I was just trying to really just count. It was like health coaching, you know, and I was just health coaching them to make better lifestyle choices. And they would come back to me and be like, my back pain's like gone. And I'm like, well, we haven't even touched the back yet, you know? And so that's when I started kind of putting the pieces together. And that's when I really started following the biohacking movements, you know, and learning the fundamentals. And then as I got more into it, I got more advanced and, you know.
Sure. And that's the way it should be learned.
Exactly.
Like, you need to start with these fundamental things, right? And I love that you mentioned sleep. That's one that in the gym, obviously, when we're talking to people, most of the time, people that are interested in personal training, it's often like a weight loss situation. It's also a feel better, live better, move better. But the number one motivation is weight loss, right? And so I have to have that conversation with them around food and sleep as well, because if you're not sleeping well, usually what I always say, and I'd like your input on this, if people aren't sleeping well, I don't really know what's going on. I'm not a doctor. You know what I'm saying? I'm a personal trainer. But I think, at least for me, when I don't sleep well, something with my decision-making is off the next day. I don't have the mental stability. I don't have the ability to think things through as well. It's a lot easier to pick up that cookie. Maybe it's a lack of energy thing. I'm not sure. But is that something that you've experienced yourself, or maybe you worked with patients through as well?
Yeah. I mean, cognitively, if you don't sleep well, your cognitive function declines significantly. So you really can't make good decisions when you're not having good sleep. It's just physiological. You can't do it.
Right.
And so when you're not setting yourself up for success, you're basically preparing yourself to fail.
What percentage of people come in to your office currently at Swell looking for some type of biohack, right? But after having, I don't know, do you call it a consultation maybe that you have with them, you discover it's actually one of these fundamental things. They don't need to biohack
100% of the time.
100%,
yeah.
Really? Okay.
And you can do them, like they would still benefit from biohacking. But if you are still living a poor lifestyle, if you're still drinking, I mean, there's so many things that we can go through about the fundamentals. You're drinking bottled water. You're eating foods that are not organic. You're not getting good sleep. You're not getting enough minerals. Your gut is dysfunctional. You can't digest your food. I mean, all those things, you will keep feeling bad no matter how much biohacking you do. And so in order to set our clients up for success, we have to coach them. This is what you have to do to feel better. If you don't do those things, you don't feel better. And I don't want you to waste money. You know, I don't want you paying to come in to Swell for just biohacking or just massage. And you don't leave, you might leave feeling better for a day, but I want you to be healthier. I want you to live longer. I want you to be able to play with your grandkids, And so that's really what we've taken on as our challenge at Swell, because we want people to succeed in this space and not feel so overwhelmed.
How do you figure those things out in a simple and effective way?
A lot of it is discussion. Okay. We talk with them and tell us to paint a picture. Tell us how you do your normal daily life. Like, what do you do first thing when you wake up? What kind of water do you drink? Do you use an air filter? All these different things. What time do you go to bed? What time do you turn your phone off? Do you charge your phone at your bedside or do you put it in another room? Like, there's so many different things that take a toll on your health that you can change for free.
Yeah.
You can listen to all this information. If you know the right place to go, you listen to all this information, you can make a change for free today, and feel better. And then you can start doing all those other cool things to feel even better.
Mm-hmm. And I would venture to say that doing all the free things is probably enough. But once they do that, they got to catch the bug to like, oh, how could it be better? How could it be more?
Right.
What are the maybe 2 or 3 most popular things that people are coming to you for initially? What are they complaining about? What types of people are they? What issues are they having? And why are they coming to you?
So Swell is in Galveston, and Galveston is a very unique community in itself. So it's a lot travels by word of mouth, a lot travels by who you know. And so we've had a lot of clients that just come in and say, like, I'm feeling this way. I don't want to anymore. What should I do? And so we've really been able to guide these patients or these clients to where they need to go. So a lot of people have had the functional wellness evaluations to start with. That's really what our desire is, for people to do functional wellness evaluations, consultations, fixing the fundamentals, learning about their gut, learning about what they need to do. So I would say that that's our biggest push, and that's what we've been trying to get clients to do. The second one would be the contrast therapy. That one has been a huge hit with the hot sauna, the infrared sauna, and the cold plunge pool. It's all in the same room, so you can go back and forth because you leave automatically feeling better. I mean, it's just so visceral and immediate. You feel better.
But what I guess the question is, what are they complaining about initially? They just don't feel good. Is it a lack of energy? Is it mood?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it's all of that. It's all of it. I mean, since COVID happened, I think that, we all know how big of a toll COVID hit everybody here. And mentally, physically, I don't think things have been the same. So a lot of people just don't feel good. They're sluggish. They're tired. They don't have energy. They don't want to go to work. They don't want to be home. They don't want to spend time with their family. Like, they're just not happy, They know that they can do more, and they know that they felt good at one point, but now they're just not where they want to be. I think that there's a lot of angst maybe in figuring out what's the next steps after COVID hit, and everyone was really anxious and scared and mad and frustrated and alone, and they gained weight. Now, what do I do with all of this? And then, people aren't in community like they used to be anymore. So I think it's all of that taking a toll on everybody.
Yeah, the feeling of overwhelm happens a lot. And the word that I like to use in this context is vitality. They are lacking vitality. They don't have vitality for life, maybe is why they would come see someone like yourself. They've been trying this, trying that. Do most people, have they been trying to do things on their own and it's like unsuccessfully?
I would say most of the time, people will buy into gimmicks and different supplements and stuff like that. But I think people are just so overwhelmed that they don't do anything.
Yes, that is what I see, personally.
Yeah.
They can't think of anything. And even when I'm talking to someone that's interested in starting to exercise, they're like, I see this video says one thing, See this other one, it says another thing. They seem to contrast each other. I read about a diet that does this, a diet that does that. I did both of them. They both worked for a period of time. Now I'm confused and I'm moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's like information overload.
That's right.
You took the words right. I was just about to say that. Yeah, it's just like there's too much. There's too much coming in.
Sometimes I think what people need is a plan and then someone to hold their hand during that plan.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk about, how that comes to fruition for someone that comes into your office?
Yeah, our functional wellness program is really nice in that aspect because we have 2 people available to answer any questions that you might have. We have plans that are written out. We can do full month meal plans. We can do full month exercise plans. We have a gym at Swell. It's just a small, intimate gym, but some people are overwhelmed. And the majority of the people that we have coming in for functional wellness and the gym are over 50 or pushing 50. So a lot of them are kind of overwhelmed going to those big gyms and unsure of what to do. And so our program is unique, especially in our area, because we do almost everything. We have functional wellness. We can look at your gut. We have a physical therapist that can tailor an exercise program just for you. And then we have some of these biohacking techniques if you're feeling run down or if you need to recover faster. And then we also have massage and some of those other things. So.
Yeah, I really like how we spent a good amount of time focusing on like fundamental things that have, apparently obviously they are related to biohacking in some way, but we haven't talked about a specific biohacking technique of any kind. And I think that's the main point that I wanted to make sure got across to people and like you said, a lot of this can be done for free, no charge, a minimal time investment, and you can do these things. But when does someone know that it is time, or if they're interested in biohacking, and let's talk about some specific techniques, like when is it time to try to implement some of these specific techniques?
So if you've, like with everything in health and wellness, you're not just going to take a pill and feel better. Like you have some responsibility. Your health is your responsibility. Once you have taken responsibility for the things that you can change, like being hydrated, getting enough sunlight, grounding in nature. Once you've taken responsibility for some things that you can change, you will start to feel empowered to try new things. And so I would say that point for everybody is different because some people can't do all of the fundamentals before they want to start dabbling in biohacking. But there comes a time where you feel empowered to continue this lifestyle and you feel like you're ready to start doing some of the biohacking techniques and learning more about it. Because I think if you just were to learn everything there is about biohacking, it'd be information overload.
Sure.
And all these fundamentals, that is the basis of biohacking. Like we all have heard about grounding. Grounding is standing outside in the earth on the sand or in the grass, and you're soaking up the earth's natural negative ions, natural electrons. And that's important because our bodies are electrical. Mm-hmm. Our nerves conduct impulses just like the wires in your house do. And so we're electrical beings, and things take our electrons like Wi-Fi, radiation, heavy metals, parasites. All those things take electrons in order to stabilize. And so we're actually deficient in energy. That's why a lot of people feel run down. So if you're doing some of those things already and you feel empowered to take the next step, a good next step as far as grounding goes would be a PEMF mat, which is pulsed electromagnetic field. And so it's a mat that you would lay on and it pulses those negative ions. Ours at Swell also have infrared. So it's also good for inflammation. Some do, some don't. But you could lay on that mat for 30 minutes and get like 5 or 6 hours worth of grounding in 30 minutes. And so you can do those little things that kind of level up, Mm-hmm. I would say you would start out at, first grade, as you go through the fundamentals, and then you can kind of level up to doing these other things.
So with the mat, the dosage is higher and it's going across your entire body instead of just your feet.
The negative ions still soak up through your whole body, even if you're just standing in your feet, because it'll pull all the negative ions up through your body. It just takes a longer amount of time.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And you can just get results quicker in a shorter period of time. So your hack here is that's a shorter period of time.
Exactly. But the fundamental is still there. Like
Yes.
the basis by which biohacking works is based on nature. And that's really the same with every biohacking technique. The basis is always natural, but they're just doing it in a way that is quicker and faster.
Yeah. And just to kind of back up just a little bit, what I always recommend, and again, interested to hear your feedback, when someone wants to try something new, like in the gym, a new exercise or something like that, my general recommendation is to change one thing at a time. And you change that thing when the previous version of it becomes easy. When that previous version becomes normal, or if we're talking about diet, like, yeah, we have this big plan that we want to get you to with your nutrition, but let's first focus on just eating however many meals a day it is that you want to commit to. Let's say it's 3, right? Talking to someone that sometimes they eat 1 time a day, sometimes they eat 4 times a day. Depends. Well, let's first get you just to eating 3 times a day. When that becomes easy, then we can implement an elimination of a food group, or we can eliminate an addition of a food group, or we can change your macronutrient goals or something like that. But let's first get to this thing. That's easy. Now we move on to the next thing. Sounds like a similar situation here.
Yeah, yeah. And there are so many different fundamentals that can seem overwhelming at first when you're talking to a new biohacker or a client that's new to health and wellness. But I think people are just craving more, like they just want to change so bad. And so I feel like with biohacking, I could give them a list of some things that they need to change at home, whether that be the water, the air, things we've listed already. And they could spend a couple weeks really doing that. And I say, okay, now come in here and try to do some contrast therapy and work on detoxing. So I think that the more results they see, the quicker or the more they're able to solidify that new lifestyle, So I don't take as long as far as exercise goes. I agree wholeheartedly. Like, let's add one thing at a time and see how the body adjusts. And, but with biohacking, I almost feel like it's harder for people to buy into. Like, can it really be that easy as putting my phone down an hour before sleep?
Right.
Is that really going to make that big of a difference? But if they do 4 or 5 things from that fundamental list and they start feeling better, I want to get them doing some contrast. I want to get them trying to do 15 minutes of exercise a couple times a day and just see how much it can snowball from there. Because once they start feeling the improvement, they'll really want to change more about their lifestyle because it's easy stuff, that you can change about your lifestyle.
Yeah, results are motivating.
Of course.
Yeah, and that's number one overarching fact about anything health and wellness related. Results are motivating. If you get results, you're more likely to continue doing the thing. And if you can get results quickly through 5 simple things that you can change in your lifestyle, and a week later you feel better, that's some major motivation going on for sure. So you talked about the PEMF, Matt, and we kind of hopped over the contrast therapy. So can we get a little bit, maybe a little more detail on that? What exactly does that look like? What's it doing for the body?
Yeah.
What type of person should try out some contrast therapy?
So saunas have been studied for years, the benefits of saunas. People in other countries have used saunas every day, and their mortality rates are lower. Their disease rates are lower. There are hundreds of thousands of studies going back years and years and years about how beneficial saunas are because of the heat. It's cardiovascular exercise. It makes you sweat. It helps with detox. It also is shown to lower the rates of Alzheimer's, dementia, and any other kind of neurological disease. So saunas are incredibly beneficial to your health. And unless you have some sort of heat intolerance or disease that you can't tolerate the heat, or perhaps COPD where it's hard for you to breathe in the heat, everyone can benefit from a sauna. I have a 4-year-old little girl, and she comes in the sauna with me.
Wow, cool.
Not for as long, but she'll come and sit in the sauna with me and sweat a little bit. And so saunas are one of the best things that you can add to your health repertoire forever. as well as exercise.
How long do you recommend staying
You
in
want
the
to
sauna
at
for?
least,
What temperature?
Yeah, at least for 30 minutes and at least 150 to 160 degrees. So it should be making you sweat pretty good. And ours have infrared near, mid, and far. And it also has chromotherapy, so the different lights for whatever you're trying to address. Red for inflammation, amber for cognitive or depression, blue for skin concern. So there's a lot of different things that you can use in our sauna. And then it creates heat shock proteins, just like the cold immersion creates cold shock proteins. And those proteins are like supercharged fighters that go into your body. They kill all the things that are not supposed to be there. So they'll attack bacteria, viruses, those precancerous cells. They will also create serotonin production. And so every time you do the cold plunge and the sauna and that contrast therapy, you actually build another layer of protection. So the more you do it, the more benefit you get. You don't just get the benefit the time that you do it, but you're actually like sewing a new framework in your body that will help protect you against, any kind of intruder, whether that's mental, with your anxiety, emotions, or physical. It literally changes the framework. So it's really cool.
Wow. I have lots of questions. Let's go back to the sauna first, and I'll try to remember all my questions. And you maybe get this question all the time, but infrared versus regular. What's the difference? Does it matter? I know you said y'all's is infrared. I'm assuming that you prefer that because of that. But
I like both.
Okay.
Yeah, they just go different depths. So
what do you mean that?
Infrared will go in deeper than red light.
Like into your body? Like
into your body,
skin?
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So different depths. And then it depends on how many like nanometers or whatever, how powerful the red light is. So there's a lot of different types of red lights. And so having both of them, you get both of the depths into your body. Mm-hmm. But they're both really anti-inflammatory. That's what they're doing.
And the different colors affect different
Yep.
cells in your body, or how's that working?
And so blue light helps to kill bacteria. And so that usually will help with any kind of topical skin concern, eczema, acne, stuff like that. If you use blue light, it's better for bacteria on top of the skin. Amber light is really good for, you know how the circadian rhythm, like when you see the sunrise and sunset, it's that kind of amber color, right? And so that's triggering that response in the brain, which will produce more serotonin.
Wow. Right now I'm mostly interested in the blue light situation. I don't personally have any skin conditions, but have you seen this in person where someone has like an eczema issue? They do blue light for I don't know, how long, and then it slowly, I'm sure, gets better? Or how
Definitely. Yeah. And everybody's body is different. So some people take a couple weeks, some people longer, some people not as long. It just kind of depends.
And this would be 30 minutes in the sauna with a blue. I get the light in the sauna just has like a blue shade over it, or
yeah, Well, it's different, a different light.
Oh,
so the different light comes on.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha. And so you would spend 30 minutes in this sauna, 150 degrees, infrared, blue light, or amber light, or red light, whichever one you want to take advantage of. And then when it comes to the contrast, are you going back and forth multiple times? Are you shortening the sauna session when you're going back and forth? What exactly does that look like?
So the most ideal would be like an hour-long session. So you would go in and you would do your 30 minutes of the sauna right away.
Okay.
And then you would get out and you would go into the cold plunge. So that shock is what creates those shock proteins, heat shock and cold shock proteins. So after you get out of the sauna, you would go into the cold plunge and you would sit there for as long as you can tolerate. Some people have sat in there for 15 minutes, so you would sit in the cold plunge for a little while. I sit in there for like 5 minutes, and then I go back into the sauna, make sure my body temperature rises again so I'm not cold, and then I go shock myself again in the cold. So you would go back and forth with the rest of your time.
So 30 minutes in the sauna, and then like as many times, if you can go in the remaining 30 minutes, going back and forth more often is better?
Yep.
What's the most you've ever seen someone do?
Going back and forth?
Yeah.
Probably 5 or 6 times in that last 30 minutes.
Okay, so you're at 150 in the sauna. What is the cold at?
45.
Almost
and it can go lower. It can go lower.
So more than 100-degree difference.
Yeah.
105-degree difference.
I'm still stuck on the fact that she said she stays in for 5 minutes. I was like, 5 minutes. Jeez.
You get addicted to it because you feel really good after.
Yeah, I have heard that.
Still looking for it though, right?
Yeah, I've not exactly tried it. Sean, I think we should go try.
I think y'all should.
I'm down. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
down. I mean, we did a little bit of cryotherapy before.
Yeah,
with,
I've done cryotherapy.
yeah.
What is
Yeah.
your opinion on the difference between a cold plunge and cryotherapy? Do you think they're similar, different?
You can still get some benefit from cryotherapy, but cold plunge is way more effective because the heat transfer in water is so much quicker than heat transfer in air. So you can plunge for 4 minutes and get way more benefit than if you're standing in a cryo thing for a few minutes.
And most cryos are like 2 minutes, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I think,
think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
They're like 2 minutes or less.
Because you'll cool your body down way faster with water.
And what's going on with these heat shock proteins? What is that doing for me when I get the heat shock protein, the cold shock protein that you mentioned? What is that doing for me physiologically? You know.
So those proteins are helping to attack anything that's not supposed to be there in your body, like the heavy metals, the parasites, precancerous cells. I mean, they're basically like little soldiers that go into your body and make sure everything's functioning right.
And how, in an ideal world, I'm eating right, sleeping well, getting my vitamin D, I'm doing most of my fundamental things. How often should I consider doing something like this contrast therapy? Is this like, do I need to do it every day to get benefits? Can I do it once a week, once a month?
The sauna is, the more the better. So in research, it shows that, if you can do the sauna every day, you're going to notice more and more benefit. As far as the cold plunge goes, I know lots of people who do the cold plunge every day. But me, it's keeping an eye on the research. I don't see a lot of convincing evidence that says cold plunging every day is as robust as the studies that talk about doing sauna every day. But that doesn't mean that that's not true, because sometimes it takes research a while to catch up to what people are seeing.
That is true. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
So, I do it a few times a week, and that feels good to me. I mean, everyone kind of has to balance their own lifestyle, how much time they have. Is it stressing you out trying to do all these modalities?
That is such a great topic.
Yeah. Are you stressing yourself out because you don't want to eat X food? Are you stressing yourself out because you have to go do X, Y, and Z before you pick up your kids? Well, then it's probably not doing you good. So
I'm so glad that we're touching on this. I don't know why I didn't think of asking you about this earlier. That is such a great point. And because we talk about that with exercise, we all know the benefits of exercise and how good it is. But if it's not simple for you to fit into your lifestyle, like it could be possibly doing more harm than good. We need to find a way to get it in there.
yeah, and you have to find a way to enjoy your life, right?
Yeah.
And do all the things that you need to do. And there's a way to balance everything. Some people have the 95-5 rule. I make it 90-10 because I'm not good 10% of the time,
Okay.
But 90% of the time, I really try to stick to the lifestyle that I've created for myself. I don't like to call it a diet, but just the way that I eating whole, nutritious food, communing with people, talking with people, and just doing things that make me happy, all that stuff. So you have to balance it, because if you're stressing yourself, trying to do everything perfect, no one's perfect. No one can do everything. The human body you're going to feel bad sometimes, and that's okay. You'll pick it up,
Do you feel like that's just like an understanding, a conversation that you have to have with yourself?
Yeah.
And an acceptance?
Yeah, for sure. Knowing what your limits are, knowing how much you can push yourself, knowing when to say no.
That's so, I struggle with that one.
Yeah.
I struggle with that one for sure. So we talked about the PEMF mat. We talked about contrast therapy. Can we talk about one more, service that you guys have? And then I'd like to also discuss maybe what are some things that people can just do at home that are easy to implement into their lifestyle.
I think the other third one that's really good for preventative health is ozone. And so ozone is O3, oxygen is O2. So our bodies can't really metabolize O3. So if you just breathe in ozone, it's toxic and it can harm your lungs. But you can insufflate it into other areas of your body. So kind of like wearing these headphones, the oxygen would go through, the O3 would go through and go into your ear canals, into your body, and it would perfuse into your body that way. And when it comes into your body will break off the O2, so you get an oxygen boost. Your body knows what to do with oxygen. So you get more oxygen in your body, which is good. Then you have that free radical oxygen molecule. And that kind of operates like the cold shock proteins, the heat shock proteins, except better. It works better at neutralizing things that are not supposed to be there, like free radicals, heavy metals, toxins. If you're feeling like a head cold come on, you have a bacteria or a virus, you insufflate ozone a few days and it'll be gone. You don't ever have to take medication. And it's kind of similar for other areas of your body. So you can insufflate it vaginally or rectally. So if someone has SIBO or colitis or C. diff, you can insufflate the ozone rectally, and that will kill the bacteria that's causing you the harm without having to take antibiotics. Because when you take antibiotics, it kills all your flora in your gut. It's not specific to the good or the bad. It kills it all. Then you end up having more problems after that.
Insufflate. I'm not familiar with that term. Does that just mean like to input or like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It instead of, because it's not an injection.
Okay.
It just kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It goes into your body
Yeah,
by way of air. So
Okay.
it's air going into an orifice of your body.
So do you just sit in a room that
Yeah.
has it in the room, and then you put it in the room like through an airway, or?
Yeah. So we have it in headphones.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I was thinking of it kind of like an air IV. Is that accurate?
Well, we would
Kind
not
of.
put it into the blood, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like that.
Yeah, like it's going into your ears.
Exactly.
And so yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of that was the comparison I was thinking of.
Yeah, so you get it into your body by way of an opening. So any opening in your body, you can put it in.
So you guys do it with headphones?
Yeah, so we have headphones.
Okay.
You can breathe it into your lungs if only it's passed through oil, because that will help to neutralize the ozone. So you're getting oxygen, really strong oxygen into your
And where do you
lungs.
get this stuff? Is this like some black market stuff or what?
No, you have to have a medical order for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a medical director
Uh-huh.
that we know and trust. And then we can order these things through medical supplies.
I'm interested.
Man,
Yeah.
get some
interested.
black market air, man.
Yeah.
Go to Harwin.
Yeah.
So that
Careful.
brings me back to like, what is biohacking and like, what's the difference? Like, what's the purpose? This is a great example of what biohacking is, because it's just air, right? It's just air, but we're using it in a way that can prevent you from having to take something that causes you harm. So when we look at like traditional medicine is like dealing with disease management. You have a disease, you pay us, and we'll manage it for you. But when you do biohacking or,
Preventative health.
root cause, it's prevention of disease. So we don't want to just have to take a pill for the rest of our lives. We don't want to have to take antibiotics every time we have this GI issue that keeps coming back. And our doctors can't tell us why. Why do I keep getting this? I just took an antibiotic 3 months ago. And so there's these techniques that you can do that you don't have to take antibiotics. There's another option for you. If you don't want to take antibiotics, or you don't want to just take a pill, or if you're not getting the answers that you want from your traditional medical practice, there are other options.
With the ozone, do you feel immediate benefits, or is this just kind of something that you do once a week or once a month or something like that?
It depends on what you're dealing with. Like anytime I have a head cold or anything coming on, I'll do the ozone 2 or 3 days in a row and I won't have it anymore. So that's pretty immediate. You can also do ozone just to it's great for a detox protocol. So when people are doing a parasite cleanse or a detox, we'll have them coming a certain amount of days a week for contrast and ozone. And they get significantly better results with detoxing and normalizing some of their blood values and gut values. And so it just depends on how you're using it.
Parasite cleanse. What's that?
So there are lots of herbs and supplements that help to starve parasites. Parasites are in a lot of foods that you don't know. Cheetos, you know, I watch a lot of literature and a lot of stuff online about how many parasites are in our food. And it's like, I wish I didn't, because now I know too much.
Right. It's kind of scary. So
There are parasites in so many different things: prepackaged foods, processed foods, meats, if you don't know where your food is coming from. And we eat them, and they live in us. A lot of people have parasites, and it's just normal to have them every once in a while. I do a parasite cleanse twice a year, and I will pass parasites almost every time, because it's just so pervasive in our American food. So there are supplements that you can take that help to starve the parasites and really cleaning your diet. It's a lot of fasting involved when you're doing a parasite cleanse, because parasites love sugar. And a lot of the foods that we eat turn to sugar. Breads, processed foods, noodles, anything with gluten kind of just turns to sugar. Parasites love those sorts of things. So they kind of cling on in our gut. They can live other places too. They can live in our brains. They can live in organs. They can live in your eye, in your skin. I mean, they can live anywhere. So,
and you recommend doing this twice a year?
Yeah, I do it twice a year.
How long does it take?
It takes about a month. I don't fast the entire month. So there's kind of like pre-cleanse instructions, during cleanse instructions, and then post-cleanse.
Oh, so that entire process takes
entire process takes about a month and a half.
Gotcha. It's hard?
I don't find it hard, but I intermittent fast every now and again. And I mean, I go through different periods depending on my cycle and how I'm feeling stress-wise, and then the seasons. So like the season change, usually from spring to summer or summer to fall. That's when I'll do a cleanse, because our bodies are changing. So, I mean, I feel okay doing it because I'm used to it, but I know the not eating part is hard for some people.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's
start
great.
with.
I think that's good for people. I enjoy is not the right word, but I'll use it in this. Take the context for what it is. I enjoy fasting for just as much the mental benefit as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of benefits in proving to myself that I don't have to eat just because I'm kind of hungry. I think is very important. People usually fall into a couple of buckets. One bucket is like you easily overeat, and then other people also easily undereat. You can be one of the two buckets. I'm the easily overeat guy. Like, I will eat too much often if I don't keep it under control. So doing like a 24-hour or longer fast every once in a while kind of reminds me that just because I'm kind of hungry, if I just give it 30 minutes or an hour or even 10 hours, like I'm fine.
Yeah.
That hunger and discomfort will pass.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just as beneficial as the physical side.
Yeah.
Because then I can remember now next week when I'm not necessarily fasting, just because I'm kind of hungry and there's some cookies over there.
Yeah.
I don't need to go for those cookies. I can wait.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of benefits there.
Yeah.
We talked about grounding earlier. That's definitely something that people can easily do at home, right?
Yeah.
Before they ever go check out the PEMF mat or contrast therapy, you can just do some simple grounding that's barefoot outside, right? Can you talk about a couple of other things that if someone's interested in biohacking, they're listening to this, I kind of want to try a couple of things. I feel like I'm eating pretty good. I'm into that thing where I'm motivated.
Yeah.
So what are maybe a couple other things that someone can do at home?
I would say the other thing that people really struggle with is sleep. So I'll
Okay.
give you a few tips about sleep.
Sure.
No blue light. So phones, LED is blue light. LED lights are strobed. So LED light doesn't just like turn on. There are lots of little lights going like this all the time. Constantly. So our brains don't pick it up, but cognitively, we feel it in our brains. It's making our brains work hard to make sure that we just see one phase of light. Does that make sense? So turning off all lights after sunset. All the lights need to be off. You either can use candles, you can use a red light. Some red lights that are not LED, that don't strobe, really help with bringing you into your circadian rhythm. So no lights on after sunset, no phone or TV an hour to an hour and a half before bed. Don't eat 4 hours before bed.
I have a problem with that one.
Yeah.
And I know that I sleep much better eating dinner earlier.
Yes.
Significant difference.
Yep. And do some sort of play-based activity before bed. Like you don't have to have kids to do a play-based activity. You can do a board game. You can, I don't know, call somebody and joke around with them or something that you can let your nervous system relax doing something that's play-based, you know?
So is that just to release stress?
Yep.
Not go to bed in a bad attitude or something? Is there
Yeah,
some
it kind
science
of
behind that?
takes you out of fight or flight mode, like stress mode. When you're doing a play-based activity, you're not stressed. I mean, hopefully you're not playing a stressful game. I'm sure there's lots of stressful games out there, like the throw the burrito or whatever.
I played that game.
Yeah, Uno No
slap.
Mercy.
Yeah, there you go.
Any board game in this household is getting
It's getting active.
heavy.
yeah, for sure. But no, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's a really good point. You know, when you go to bed feeling stressed out, heavy, or close the laptop, go to sleep kind of thing, like that's a problem, right?
Yep.
We shouldn't be doing that. I do have a couple questions on the lights. I've heard like an hour or two before bed. I've never actually heard someone say at sunset. So depending on the season, that time's going to change. It's still, you're saying that it's still important to follow that at sunset, no matter what the time is.
Yeah. And if you have blue blockers that are really amber, you've seen the blue blocker lights. I mean, sunglasses.
Glasses,
Yeah.
I've seen, yes.
So they have different shades of them. They can be really yellow or they can be really amber. So you'd want to wear, at the very least, if you keep side table lamps on that are not LED, you got to make sure no LED light. But if you have side table lamps that are not LED, and you wear your blue blockers, then that's okay.
What about lights? Like I can show you on the way out, actually. If anybody didn't know, the studio's in my house. So like on the way out, I'll show, I'm curious. We have some lights in our kitchen that they're not amber, but they're like, are you familiar with color grades of lights? So like this light over here is like what we would call like very blue, right? Like a daylight, where this one's a little less. But downstairs in my kitchen, we have ones that are even like almost like a brownish color.
Yeah.
So those are
Better.
better, but not perfect.
Yeah. If they're LED, the stresses your brain out.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too. Is like just no LED then?
Yeah.
No LED.
That's the main rule.
Okay, so more of like a halogen or like Edison bulb, something that's a constant
Yes.
color.
Yeah, especially the Edison bulbs. That's what I have at my house because they're amber. You know, they're kind of yellow.
I wonder if that's what's in. I wonder if that's what we have. I don't know.
I know they look cool. They're very aesthetic.
Yeah. They cost more money, but it's a simple hack that you can do that will help you sleep better. And then as we kind of progress into the night, you want to not charge your phone next to your bedside.
Why?
There are so much radiation emits from your phone all the time. Not even just when it's plugged in, all the time. It was back in the 90s that people were seeing increased incidence of brain cancer in people who wear headphones, talk show hosts, air traffic controllers, people who wore lots of media stuff. They were noticing increased incidence of brain cancer back then. And now the incidence of childhood brain cancer is up hundreds of percentages because kids have phones and we have laptops. Lots more cancer in this region, uterine. I mean, that's also having to do with our diet too, but people resting their laptops here. Skin cancer just on the hand that you primarily talk on the phone with, on the palm. You wouldn't normally get skin cancer on the palm. So there's a lot of different cancers that are coming out or that are being tied to radiation. And our phones emit so much radiation. So, and when you plug it in, it increases it 100%. I mean, you can see how much if you have an EMF reader, you can get an EMF reader online and you can see how much radiation is in your home. So microwaves, tons of radiation still comes out from the microwave. I don't even use a microwave hardly at all.
Wow. Do you use an oven to?
Yeah.
Do you do a meal
oven or stovetop?
Do you
Air
meal
fryer?
prep? Or?
I try to meal prep. I'll meal prep, probably every so often. I have a very picky 4-year-old eater.
Okay.
If I meal prep, one day she might eat it, and the rest of the day she's like, nah, So then I have to eat it all.
Oh,
So-
darn.
Yeah. So do you recommend cooking all your foods fresh? Is that kind of more of the recommendation here, or what are your thoughts?
I don't think so. I think it can work either way.
Okay.
But if you have one of those microwave ovens, like the stovetop oven things to reheat, that's better. You can reheat on the oven or on the stove or in the oven. I would not use the microwave. And it changes the quality of your food too. Like it actually changes the makeup of your food.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to going to sleep.
Sure. Yeah.
There's so many EMFs when you plug your phone in. So I would never plug my phone in next to my head, preferably in the other room.
Okay.
Turn it on airplane mode because the Wi-Fi, it's going to continually try to pick up the Wi-Fi and that's radiation. And turn off your Wi-Fi at night. Because
Like
that's
in your
another
home?
in your home. That's another source of radiation. And you'd be surprised how good you sleep when you start doing those things. I challenge people to do that for a week and a half, and see how much better. If you're having trouble with sleep, you will notice the difference. Don't hold your phone in your back pocket or in your front pocket all the time. Stay aware of like how much technology is around you. You can even get EMF blockers, but if you don't want to invest in an EMF blocker yet, there's different stickers that you can put on your devices. Just stay aware of like how much your phone is around you. Charge it in the other room. Pull your bed 12 inches away from the wall if you have outlets around your bed, because what comes down out of the outlet? Electrical wire. So all those things, I mean, and our bodies are electrical, so you can understand how that would affect our chemistry of our sleep. So do those things at night and you'll be surprised how much better you sleep. I wear blue blockers every time when I work, blue blocker glasses every time I'm working on the computer. I wear them at night. I wear my darker ones, and you'd be surprised how much of a difference it makes in your sleep.
Wow. So if you do half of these things that you just listed, you're still doing yourself like a big favor. So
Yeah.
like you said, if you don't want to invest in going like all in and making it stress you out,
Yeah.
just raise that awareness of it.
Yeah. Do a couple things at a time, you know, and then you'll see the improvements.
Wow. Yeah. I've never even considered, I mean, I knew about the light thing. I've known about that one for a while, and I do my best on that one. But the phone, I've never considered the Wi-Fi, the electrical outlets. Yeah, and I remember I did. It's been a while, but I used to go outside in my yard every morning and do like the grounding thing. But I haven't done that in a very long time. But you gotta got me
And that's good
motivated.
for your circadian rhythm. You wake up with the sunrise and the sunset. You get it into your eyes right first thing in the morning. Sunrise in your eyes in the morning, sunset in your eyes at night. And that helps tell your body time to wake up, time to sleep.
Right. And for someone like myself that wakes up before the sun comes up, it's not an excuse to not do some of these other things. That's
Yeah.
just one of the things that might not work for me. It's
Yeah.
just one of the things, but I could still do my best in the other areas,
Yeah.
right? So if anyone's listening to this and, you know, people have a really good habit of making excuses of why they can't do certain things. Well, that doesn't mean you can't do all of them.
Yeah.
You know, but so kind of pick your battles.
Yeah.
What do you see as the future of Swell? I know. So when earlier you said in November, we're talking November, like less than a year ago. November.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's going on currently with Swell? Where are you guys headed?
So we've been really focusing on. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Communicating. We've really been focusing on participating with our community, letting them know that we're there, letting them know what we do, and just taking feedback from them. What is it that they're looking for? What do you need? Like, what do you feel like your life is missing that you're going to a health and wellness place, you know? So we've really been focusing on interacting with our community. And so in that respect, we've been doing a lot of volunteering. We've been participating at different events. Tomorrow, we're having a running event at the brewery. It's a 5K and 10K, and at the end, people can plunge. Wow. And it's going to be focused a lot on community. And
This is in Galveston, right?
this is in Galveston.
Okay.
Yep, at
Christina
Galveston
was
Island
telling us
Brewery.
about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she told me in Denver about it after her last visit to the gym.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it'll be a fun event, and there's going to be volleyball and all that kind of stuff. So we're really trying to do more of that in our community. We
Awesome.
also do free community cold plunges once a month. We're just trying to find a way to intercede in our community to help them be healthier, to help them know that there's not just one box that health and wellness fits in. But if you don't feel seen, you don't feel heard, and you still feel sick, there's other ways that we can help you. So as far as the future goes with Swell, I really want to be a good resource for the community to come and learn about health and wellness. I want people to feel better. I want people to feel more alive and be able to do the things that they want to do. And come, we have biohacking, we have the gym, we have functional wellness. And so I just want it to be a home for people to come to learn how to feel better.
Yeah, I mean, today we specifically revolved the conversation around biohacking, but you guys do so many different things.
Yeah.
Can you talk, short and sweet, how does it work? You go in, you talk to somebody, you come up with a plan. Is it like a membership base where you just come in and do whatever you want? Do you guys give direct instructions on what they should do? Just talk real quick about that.
I would say that most people want instructions on what they should do.
Okay.
Since we offer so much, I think that can be a lot to digest, maybe. And people don't really know what they need.
Yeah.
So
that's so true. That is so true.
They come in and they ask us, okay, I'm feeling this way. What should I do? And so I would say if you feel lost or confused or information overload, book a functional wellness assessment with us, and we can talk about all those things pertaining specifically to you. What's your lifestyle like? What is it? Where do you work? Do you have kids? Let's figure out the best plan for you. And then we move forward and we kind of tell them how to go about the other things. With the functional wellness and the physical therapy, that's all per visit. So you pay per visit for all of those things. But the gym, the biohacking, the massage, and the facials, we all have membership options for those, depending on how often you want to come.
Awesome.
You can pay per service, or you can save money and do the membership. And really the best way to go is membership, because do you ever see immense benefit from doing a one-off thing? No, it's a commitment.
That's right.
You got to commit to yourself and commit to going frequently.
Sure. Yeah. And you guys are in Galveston. What part of Galveston? You can share the address if you want to, phone number, website where someone can book the consultation that you mentioned.
We are on the west side of Galveston, which really is almost midtown now because so much growth has happened on the west side. But we're on Stewart Road, which is around 69th. We're 6911 Stewart Road. We're next door to a chiropractic clinic, which is kind of nice that we have another holistic family right here next to us. We're close to Walmart. So if you know where the Walmart is, we're on the way to Walmart. And our website is swellgalveston.com. That's where you can book everything. You can look up all the different services that we offer. I have just started our blog, so I'll be posting more information about some different biohacking things, how to learn what biohacking is, just little digestible pieces of information if you want to learn more about certain things. I'll be kind of posting more on our blog that's on our website. So
yeah, I think keeping these things digestible for people is very important.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the number one thing that gets them to actually try anything.
Yeah.
Start feeling the benefits, get results, then they're motivated, so on and so on.
Yeah.
For sure. Sean, any last minute questions before we wrap up?
No, I think everything was covered. Yeah,
Okay.
I can't think of anything.
Awesome. Is there anything we missed? Anything you'd like to say before we finish?
Oh, I'm just happy you invited me onto this podcast.
Yeah.
I had a good time, and
Awesome.
I hope that I gave some clarity to what biohacking is.
Yes, for sure. I mean, for me at least, I think I loved that we started with all the fundamental things, and I love that you mentioned if any of this is stressing you out, then it's probably not worth it. So get yourself to a place where you can handle the fundamentals. Stress is under control, then we could implement some of these things. And in my opinion, that's so important. And then we can get into some of these other things that can take you to the next level. But you have to set that foundation first. So we really appreciate you coming on here, talking about those things. Wishing the best to Swell. Our goal here at Only the Greatest is to help Houston make its way up the ladder of health and fitness. And it sounds like that is your guys' goal as well, especially down in Galveston.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we'll come see you guys. I have to get in one of those. I got to try the
Cold plunge.
contrast therapy.
Yeah. Y'all need to come down and try it.
That sounds great.
Let's check it out.
You'll be hooked.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, next time we're in Galveston, we'll definitely swing by. And obviously, you're welcome to come by on the side of town anytime you're here.
All right, cool. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this video with anyone you think might be interested in biohacking.
Peace.